All right, hey everybody. This is my YouTube channel. You can call me Al, and it's not that deep, but it is that deep. So this is gonna be a YouTube channel where I just talk about things that I enjoy, whether that's comic book characters, video games, movies, anime, TV show, whatever. But the purpose of this channel is that if you, like me, are someone who really just enjoys over analyzing things, well, hey, um, subscribe, like, whatever. But I just hope that you enjoy the content, and let's get into it. So, if you're like myself and you grew up as a 90s kid and a 2000s kid, we had peak entertainment. We had Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, Batman, Superman, X-Men. We had everything. But as we got older, some of us, because of whether it was social influences or whatnot, grew out of those things. But me, didn't happen. Never grew out of it. So, I started watching Avatar The Last Airbender when I was maybe 14, 15. First time that I saw it was at my my dad's cousin's house, and I believe it was one of the last 3 episodes where Aang is fighting the Fire Lord. Phenomenal. And I was like, holy shit, what is this, and how can I get more of it? And oddly enough, that was my first introduction into Avatar The Last Airbender. Now I might be a little bit wrong on the age. Don't go checking and doing maths, none of like that. Like, chill. But I grew to love that franchise. And me, someone who came in towards the end, and started watching the show, finished it possibly about a year before the Legend of Korra series came out. And I was like, wow, okay, spinoff. Maybe we'll get some answers. Everybody else thought, what happened to Zuko's mother? This, and that. But as many of us know who have seen Legend of Korra, that's not what the show was about. Instead, Legend of Korra was about Korra and her journey to become just a good avatar, a good person, a good woman, and someone who's just worthy of the mantle. It wasn't about Aang or Zuko and his mysteries, but it was just about this girl, Water Tribe, who, like so many before her, had the power of the 4 elements. And that's what brings us to today. About a couple of years ago, they announced that they were making another, the first live action Avatar The Last Airbender series. That's right, I'm not thinking about You Must Not Be Named, even though I do enjoy a lot of his other movies. But that's neither here nor there. They announced a live action Avatar The Last Airbender series on Netflix. And Netflix, notorious for butchering, let's say the least. I think the last thing that I watched from them that was a remake or whatever was the Death Note series, and it was a clusterfuck, for the lack of a better word. And anyway, so they announced this series, and I, like many others, probably yourself, I wouldn't even call it cautiously pessimistic, I suppose would probably be the word. And the show is right around the corner now. We're a few years out from that moment of the announcement, and the show's a few years out. And I watched the trailer. I think the casting looks great for most of them, and okay for some others. But we're months away, and that means that this time next year we'll have consumed the first season, and there'll be thoughts and think pieces and video essays all about it. But the thing that kind of has me frustrated is that we don't need a live action remake of Aang. Now, Aang, for a lot of people, myself included, was their first introduction into the Avatar world. This world of magic and mystery and a blending of so many different Asian cultures and native cultures all into like this anime-esque style show for kids. And with that being said, so many people enjoyed it. So many people still enjoy it. And just to get the positives out the way, I'm a fan of anything that gets more people to be a fan of the thing that I like. Whether that's another new Spider-Man, a new Spider-Man game, Avatar spinoff, a book, anything that can get people to enjoy the things that I enjoy, it's a net positive. But at the same time, we don't need an Aang show. And let's get into why. So, the first reason why we don't need an Aang show is that we already have one. We have one about him as a child and his journey post-genocide and post his 100-year little nap. So we know everything that he's done. Now, everything that we've kind of heard about the show. And I'm one of those people, like, I kind of follow a lot of different accounts and different YouTube pages and Twitter pages that talk about different things and spoiler-esque things from TV shows far before they come out, which is kind of how I know if I want to check something out or not. And the one thing that does have me a bit curious is that they're adding in a lot of the side characters coming in earlier. Azula, the Kyoshi people, the Kyoshi warriors, excuse me. Wow. But, so that's going to be interesting. I'm sure they're going to add extra elements of Zuko's father and his and Azula's relationship. All of that's going to be fine and dandy, sure. But at the end of the day, you can't change too much. You can't add too much because it kind of takes away from it. And not to mention that when you have a medium such as cartoons and animation, it's kind of the core. Very seldom do we see a live action remake that adds something to the original. And we live in an era of Disney remakes out the ass. Lion King, Pinocchio, Sleeping Beauty, Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, which I saw. I enjoyed it for what it was. I felt like they added enough to the point where it didn't feel like just another soulless Disney remake. But it was decent. I enjoyed it. I got to see it with my fiance, so that's always a plus. But when it comes to things that are deep with so much lore and mythology, I always feel like when you do a live action remake, you're gonna end up missing something. Now, I haven't finished the One Piece show. I'm like 3 episodes into, but I know a lot of people enjoy it, and I've been enjoying it also. So you're probably asking yourself, okay, well, why do you feel like we don't need another Aang show? It's pretty simple. The Avatar universe is vast. It is numerous. It's deep. And the idea of making a show about a character that we've already seen when this spin-off universe could have been a way to show characters that we have not seen before. Avatars that we haven't seen before. Let's go to it. Let's get into spoilers, all right? So obviously, if you're here, I'm assuming that you've already watched Avatar The Last Airbender at the minimum. So for those of you who stopped at Avatar The Last Airbender and didn't go on to The Legend of Korra, shame on you. It's a pretty good show. Second season's the roughest one, where a lot of my friends that I've talked to stopped there. But in the Avatar universe, reincarnation is the name of the game. The Avatar goes from one nation to the next, being born. Fire, air, water, earth. Fire, air, water, earth. Over and over and over again. And I think I remember seeing somewhere, and I'll put it up on the screen, but Aang is the 80th Avatar or something like that. I don't know. I'll have to check. Let me check. All right, so Aang's actually the 82nd Avatar. Korra is the 83rd, which means that before the two of them, there have been over 80 people. And I think canonically, we only know the names of about 9 or 10. Most of which have come from the Kyoshi and Yang Chen book. We have Wan, that's the first Avatar, who I love that. That is the best part of the season 2 is Wan's episodes. After him, we don't know. We have no idea who's next. We really don't start filling into the gaps until we get to about mid 70s. So let's do a little bit of quick maths, bruv. If Korra is the 83rd Avatar, and we have Aang is the 82nd, that means that Roku is the 81st, and Kyoshi is the 80th. Karuk is the 79th. Young Chen is the 78th Avatar. And those are the ones that we've seen in the show that they've given names to. And there's a couple more in the books and comics that get name dropped that right now, for that reason, I am drawing blanks. And I've read both Kyoshi books and both Young Chen books, preem stuff. But anyway, getting back on the topic, we don't need another Aang show because we've already seen Aang. And I felt like this live action show could have been a perfect opportunity to give something to the older fans who want to see a new Avatar, a different Avatar, but they also don't want Aang's legacy to be defiled. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, making television, making movies, it's hard. And what are the odds that this show is as good as, if not better, than the original show? When we had the original creators of the animated show leave very early on into the development of this live action show. That doesn't give a vote of confidence. Not to mention, it's still Netflix at the end of the day. So, well, Mr. It's Not That Deep, how? What do you suggest they do? All right, you make another show, right? You could have done Chronicles of the Avatar or something like that, where it's an anthology series where each episode or each couple of episodes follows a different Avatar that we haven't seen. Mind you, we still have about 70-ish avatars who we don't know. We don't know their names. And so which ones would I pick? Obviously, the best answer and the only answer is the second Avatar. Okay, follow me here. Wan dies, right? And at the end of Legend of Korra, when he dies, Rava, who's the spirit of the Avatar, she's a spirit of light, not the spirit of the Avatar. She's a spirit of light that allows the Avatar to enter the Avatar state and tap into their former lives and bend the four elements. She tells Wan upon his death that after he stated that I feel like I failed, I didn't accomplish anything in life, woe is me. And Rava's like, it's okay, dude, we're gonna run it back once we get back into the lobby. And it's like, oh, so he's reincarnating. How fucking terrifying would it be to find out that you're the second in that line? Because nobody else has really come before you. There's nobody else to really guide you. Like, I feel like that would be such an interesting story to see the second Avatar and how they navigated this world with new abilities that have only barely been seen once. And we saw what happened at the end of Wan's. He was on a battlefield. The world was possibly in some sort of disarray. And one of the other things that I find very, very interesting is that every next Avatar faces the sins of their previous Avatar. So, you probably wonder, okay, what do you mean by that? Well, kindly listener, don't worry, I got you. So, we have people like, let's work backwards, okay? We have Korra. Well, you might wonder, what's Aang's sin? Aang took over Republic City, annexed the land with Zuko to create it, possibly illegally. Now, they don't really get into like the details of that inside the show, I believe it's in one of the Legend of Korra comics, which they're really good. All of the comics are pretty good. But, so she has to deal with that. Also, for Aang, well, what are the sins of Roku? Easy answer. Also, fuck Roku, okay? He is the worst Avatar. I know people like to shit on Korra, and there's no debate. The worst Avatar is Roku, because this man could not even stand 10 toes down on his duty and simply off his ex-bestie. He could have done that, and boom, Air Nation wouldn't have got wiped out. Genocide avoided, all because one man chose inaction. And then when Sozin, whatever that dude's name was, whenever his buddy's name was, spun the block on him, Dude suffocated at a volcano. Come on, man. Come on, bro. Come on. This is why I don't take, like, whenever people rank their avatars, if Roku's not at your bottom, that tells me everything I need to know about you as a person. I'm just leave it at that. But hey, this isn't a Roku hate episode as much as I want it to be. But yeah, Roku is the reason why the Air Nation got genocided, because he refused to kill his bro. So before Roku, who do we have? Kyoshi, I believe, right? Sins of Kyoshi. That we don't really know. We've had 2 Kyoshi books, both of which follow her during her late teens, possibly early 20s. Phenomenal. And perhaps I'll go into that later, maybe later on this episode, maybe another episode if you guys are interested. But Kyoshi is possibly the most interesting avatar, because she was seen as not the avatar. Instead, she served as a servant for the false avatar, Yoon. But that sounds good to you, buddy. Do I have some good news for you? I got plenty in the old noggin. I've read all those books. But it's not until Kyoshi where we start to figure out what the sins of the others are. And it's around the time we get to Karuk. So before Kyoshi, we get to Karuk. And I think in the Kyoshi books, Karuk doesn't really have much to say. But we find out that Karuk died at the age of 30. And in Avatar The Last Airbender, Karuk was portrayed as like this surfer dude, like this party guy who just like didn't really have a care in the world because Young Chin did such a great job. And when in all actuality, Karuk was more so like a Batman mixed with a priest. By day, he was this cool surfer bro who just liked to party. But by night, he was exorcising fucking demons. And by demons, I mean spirits. And that's pretty fucking cool. But he was also doing it in secret. So none of his friends knew that he was going through all of this. Which is, wow, dude. Talk to somebody. But the reason why he had to do that is because of the sins of his previous avatar, which was Yang Chen. And Yang Chen's biggest sin was that she neglected the spirit world. Now, I have a theory about this neglect that's in the books of the Yang Chen series, but not really in the books. And it's something that's alluded to, is that anytime something goes wrong, Yang Chen, which I love her. I used to hate her before her books came out. I was like, wow, how could she do this to Karuk? But Yang Chen is a fucking liar. That's what she does best. She's a liar. She's a finesser. She's a criminal. But she's an air nun. Amazing. Immaculate. And the thing that Yang Chen has made me realize how much more we could have gotten from Aang. And I'm not bashing Aang, but Aang is not my favorite avatar. I wouldn't even put him maybe top 5. Now, wait. Don't hit the dislike button yet, please. Just give me a chance. Yang Chen, let me finish that thought. Yang Chen lies on the spirits, and I think that essentially the spirits end up not liking that. So why are you lying on our name? Anytime some shit went wrong in another city, Yang Chen would go fix it, and rather than take credit for it, which she still did, whenever there was some sort of criminal that she took down, she would just lie and say that the spirits did it. And she would use that as a way to, like, what's the word? It's not blackmail, but strong arm her opponents into heeding her words, because she was still a teenager. She was a tiny girl. So nobody took her seriously stature wise. Plus she was of the Air Nation. So you only have so much intimidation as someone in the Air Nation. But Yang Chen lied, and essentially that's what got Karuk killed at the age of 30, and so on and so forth. But seeing that there's these threads of connection between each of the avatars, where it's like whatever unfinished business you have, the person in the next life has to make. So for Korra, whoever comes after her will probably be something dealing with the spirits or the return of the Air Nation. She's opened up all these spirit portals across the world. And one thing they've kind of not talked about is the fact that I believe that her uncle died with Vatu in him. So wouldn't that also mean that he would reincarnate? Think about it. Pretty good idea. Nickelodeon or the creators of the Avatar, hire your boy. I got plenty of ideas and I would love to work with y'all. But yeah, so there's options is what I'm saying. And the fact that Netflix and Nickelodeon or whoever the creators are for this decided to go with the most obvious option doesn't really give me confidence, because you'll have one of two situations of dissatisfaction. If the show is I say one of two, there's probably several. But if the show is a word for word, bar for bar fucking remake of the original series, then it's adding nothing new. It's okay. The fight scenes were okay. It doesn't look anything like that. You run into that issue. If the show is too different from the source material, why did they change this? Why did they change that? If the show changes some key differences in the way the characters look or act or sound, it's a lose-lose. It's a lose. And I would hate to be these creators for this show, because there's nothing that you can really do to win. Now, I mean, we know this because, you know, the fan base for the Avatar series is not the most positive. We're no One Piece fans. But and I mean that in the best way. Like, One Piece fans, everybody that I've ever met that's a fan of One Piece has been a joy. Wow, y'all are the most positive people in a fandom that I've ever seen. Steven Universe can never. But yeah, I just don't get why this is what they chose to do. You could have done an anthology series where you follow a different Avatar. You could have picked it up when Aang was already an adult. That way, because the other thing that the show has working against is that they chose actual children, which, great, that's phenomenal. But we've seen this happen with Stranger Things, where it's taken them 10 years to make 4 or 5 seasons, by which most of these children that were 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 are now paying taxes and own homes. So the Avatar series within the show has 3 seasons. How frequently are they going to be putting out these seasons? We just got done with the writer strike and the actor strike days ago. What is the plan here? Like, I mean, in no way do I want them to work these kids to the bone, but it's going to be kind of hard to see that within the Avatar show, the cartoon, I believe the entire series took place in a matter of months. Not years, months. Somewhere between 3 to 6 months. Very short period. And, you know, feel free to correct me on that in the comments, excuse me. But the idea that this show is going to somehow be able to maintain the look of these teenagers, kids, for 10 years is kind of absurd. I mean, they're gonna have to put it on a different timeline, I feel, a different scale of a timeline. Maybe it takes place over 3 or 4 or 5 years. That's fine. If that's the difference, cool. I'm cool with that. But it's one of the issues that you're gonna run into. And that's not a bad thing, but it's also just realistic. And this is in no way me bashing child actors. I mean, because growing up is a part of life. They should be allowed to grow and change. But I also feel that the show should perhaps reflect that if you're doing a live action. So, in conclusion, this has just been a rant. Please let this at least be decent. I'm not expecting good, but just let it be decent. Decent enough to pull new fans in so that they can read the Yang Chen books, the Kyoshi books, watch the original Avatar series, watch Legend of Korra, read the comics. If any of this show does that, then it's good. It's a good show. But what are the odds that it'll actually be good? I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that's my Avatar rant. So yeah. All right. So if you've stuck around this long, I just want to say first and foremost, thank you. I mean, whether or not you like the video or not, I just want to say thanks for watching it. I mean, I know it was a bit of a long one, especially for a first one. I'm a long-winded person. It's the reason why I have a good bit of 15-minute TikTok sitting in my drafts that will never be posted, because you don't need to post a 15-minute video on TikTok. I mean, let's be real. But if you're interested in more content like this, like I'm sure you've heard me mention a few times in this video, Spider-Man. I'm working on a Spider-Man video that's a little bit more structured than this. And so hopefully I'll have that out in the next couple of weeks. So if that interests you, please give me a follow. Let's see, what else am I working on? Oh, me and one of my buddies, long time friend, we're working on a comic book that we're hoping to kind of have done within a year. So if you like original content this will probably be the part where, I post my songs, but I don't think I have it. So, yeah, just hope you have a good day.